Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Today's video is a reading wrap-up of what I read in the month of February, which actually was a little bit of an eclectic mix for me. The first book that I read was a dystopian classic, Fahrenheit 451, by Ray Bradbury. Somehow I made it all through my formal years of education without having read this one, and I decided it's time. All I knew about this novel going into it, aside from it's a classic, was that it's about censorship and firefighters who burn books. Books are banned. That was pretty much all I knew about it. For those of you who haven't read it, the main character's name is Guy Montag. He is a firefighter, but what it means for society when this novel is set is that when people are reported to have books in their homes, the firefighters go to their homes, they burn the books, and they often burn down the entire home. And since reading books is banned, the person is arrested. But Guy has grown a little bit disillusioned with this, and he secretly has been stealing some of the books that he's been sent to burn. His disillusionment is tipped over the edge when he meets his new neighbor, who's a 17-year-old woman. She isn't unlike anyone he's ever met before. She's very strange by current society. She wants to talk to him and ask questions and find out why he thinks the things that he thinks. And she wants to tilt her head back and taste what rain tastes like. And she wants to be quiet and think her own thoughts. And it's so removed from what is considered normal, but it really starts making Guy question things. When was the last time that he was truly happy? Who is this woman he calls his wife, who he doesn't even seem to know, who doesn't seem to enjoy being around him or talking to him? And eventually, not only does he steal the banned books, he starts reading them. Of course, his fire captain finds out, presents the ultimatum that they understand if people get curious and question. However, he'd better just turn in the book and get back to his normal life, and no one will be any the wiser. But of course, that's not what Guy does. Yes, it's about censorship and how the populace is being force-fed what to think in easy, digestible bites to keep them happy, because if they are happy, they are not questioning what's going on in the world around them. But another thing that I found striking about the novel is a little world-building aspect that was pure science fiction when it was written, but now is totally normal, which is the devices that they wear in their ears, listening to entertainment constantly. Their living room walls are basically screens that are showing reality, sort of, TV, and most people just want to sit in their parlor and be with their family and watch the entertainment. And for me, since I'm a person who, yes, I have my headphones on a lot of the time and I'm listening to podcasts and music and listening to YouTube and whatever else, it was a little bit jarring to think, oh, this could be a problem. You don't want to be so absorbed in the entertainment on your phone, for example, that you stop paying attention to what's going on around you. So that actually hit home harder for me than the censorship warning, which is evergreen. I didn't expect that I would enjoy Ray Bradbury's prose as much as I did. I've only read a few other things by him, and it was a long time ago, but I really did enjoy how he wrote, and I would recommend this novel to people who haven't yet read it. It's short, it's a classic, and it is enduring, and I think that everyone should read it. The next book that I read was a reread for me, but it was the first time that I listened to this book in audio format. It was a little bit of a reward for me for finishing a revision of my novel. It's Dark of the West by Joanne Hathaway, which I've spoken about numerous times on this channel because it's one of my new favorite novels. It's a World War I, World War II inspired fantasy set in a secondary world, so it's not immediately drawn off of this world's events. And it's about two people who wind up on opposite sides of this war that at first they were trying to work together to see if they could stop it, and things just didn't work out right, and they wound up for their own reasons on opposite sides of it. This time when I was reading it, I was studying it from a craft standpoint. I wanted to pay close attention to what the author does that I really liked and what I would want to emulate in my own work. such as the lush descriptive prose, how she can make characters communicate so clearly without saying a word by the efficient description of their body language, how the characters grow, and how she built their arcs throughout the trilogy. And of course, since I've read the trilogy once before, now I'm picking up on all the little things that she laid there in plain sight the whole time that I didn't know were important until the end. So to me, this trilogy has really good rereadability. I feel like I'm going to get more out of it every time I read it. And I just loved being with the characters again. I really do enjoy the main characters. I'm going to listen to the second novel in the trilogy sometime soon. But the tragedy of it is that this is a mid-list trilogy that isn't supremely popular. So Orbit, the publisher, produced books 1 and 2 in the trilogy, but not book 3, which just kills my heart. I would really love to listen to the third novel in this trilogy. Please, please produce it. That would be wonderful. Next, I read the penultimate novel in the Expanse series, number 8, Tiamat's Wrath, which is really propelling us into the last novel. Of course, I can't summarize what happened in the novel because it's book 8 out of 9, but I will say earlier in the series, one arc kind of seemed to wrap up, and now we've launched on a secondary arc. So while a couple of books in the middle felt a little bit slow, these last few have really been amping back up again towards the eventual conclusion of the series. And I did really enjoy the events of this novel and what the characters were doing. Next, I read Lore Olympus, which is a graphic novel. I'm trying to explore more graphic novels. I've started Sandman. Now I'm reading Lore Olympus, which is a webtoon that's available for free online. They are publishing physical volumes of the story periodically, and volumes 2 and 3 have been announced. This is a Greek pantheon, Persephone's Hades retelling of how Hades brought Persephone down to the underworld. But what I really like about it is the modern twist on it. You know, you have these gods and goddesses and demigods and nymphs and whatever else running around with cell phones, doing email, working their 9-to-5 job. Hades has to keep the underworld running smoothly. Persephone is a student. I've never been huge into this lore, and so although I recognize the characters' names in passing, I don't intimately know all the relationships between the different characters. So it's been fun kind of figuring that out as I go through the story. The physical version is very beautiful. I love the illustrative style, and I think I'll be picking up the next physical volumes when they come out. I finished up by reading 2 adult romances. Both of them I enjoyed, but they weren't favorites, and both of them had the same flaw to me. The first one is called Built to Last by Erin Hahn. It's her first adult romance. She has previously published 3 young adult that I really enjoyed. I think I actually liked them a little bit more than this one because of this flaw that I'll mention. But the premise is that the 2 main characters were co-stars in one of those teen shows throughout their teenage years. When the show ended when they were 18, they went off to live their lives, dealt with their separate issues, and now they're kind of thrust back together to do this reality home improvement, home flipping TV show, and it's bringing a lot of that past baggage back up to the surface. And I just wish that some of the external conflicts on the characters weren't resolved as easily as they were. It felt kind of built up throughout the novel, and then it was like, oh, they had one conversation with this person and now it's fine now? I don't know. I felt as though I was a little let down by, that was an important thing to this character, and then it was just fine. So I wanted a little bit more digging into some of the meat of these character interactions. But I enjoyed reading the novel otherwise. I liked the main characters and I liked their chemistry together. The other one is somewhat of a fantasy set in a contemporary setting. It's called the Ex Hex. The main character is a witch. She lives in this old town in the United States where magic and witches have been prevalent for a while, but just on the down low. However, it's prevalent enough that witches do periodically get together for some meeting. And at this meeting, when she was in college, she met a man, another witch, and they kind of fell really hard for each other, but then something happened that split them up, and they haven't seen each other in years. Now he's coming back to the town because his family was a founding family of it, and they have to renew some magic with the ley lines of the town. But what he doesn't know is that when they broke up, she hexed him, she cursed him, It wasn't a serious thing. It wasn't supposed to be a real curse, but yet part of it stuck. So now they have to work together to kind of undo this curse before their town gets basically destroyed by this magic, this bad luck that's running wild. So I really liked the premise, but again, I wish some of the external conflicts on the characters weren't so easily resolved. Like, yes, if I'm reading a romance, I want there to be focus on that love story. I want there to be some steamy scenes, but I also need a little bit more. I don't want everything to get just resolved or fixed because the characters get together. Like, the things that were impacting the characters separately need to actually be addressed and dealt with and not just feel very superficial. And I think for both these novels, some of those external conflicts they just felt too superficial for me. So I enjoyed reading them, but they're not new favorites. And those are the books that I read in February, kind of an eclectic mix. I'm trying to start reading more classics, whether they're sci-fi classics, dystopian, literary, romantic, murder mystery classics like Agatha Christie. I want to broaden my horizons when it comes to these novels that have been so important to us culturally throughout time, while I still want to read new emerging works. So please let me know your favorite classics or classics that you think any person should probably read once in their life. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to support your local library. Bye.